Guys, welcome back to part 3 of our close up our engine case segment. So this is going to be the final go on taking care of the last details on both case halves and sorting through everything and getting it glued together and putting this one behind us. Once we got this under control, it's pretty much downhill from here. Everything should be much easier. I've looked everything over on our right half. Everything looks to be okay there. We still need to do a little bit of prep work on our left half, lube it up and double check, make sure we have all our hardware accounted for and also our tooling set up and ready to go. So let's go ahead and dive into this one, get it closed up and see what she looks like. All right, so let's have our last look here up close and see how everything situates to make sure we haven't missed out on anything. I'll probably add a little bit of engine oil to our gear set here right before we close it up so it doesn't drain off too much, and also on the sprockets. Everything else looks to be all right. All right, and then looking at our left case half here, so I've got everything just numbered. This is going to be my torque pattern getting around this thing. The reason I'm numbering it like this is to kind of give you an idea of what we got to do is one thing, and also it'll help me as I'm going around it just to make sure I'm in counting numerical order, that I haven't skipped over anything as I'm making my rounds. The perimeter nuts aren't as sensitive as our through bolts. I'll do a torque pattern on those, but it'll be more random than this particular pattern right here. And then I just put a note right here. This is going to be our Loctite nut going down inside there on that stud there. These are going to be our torque specs for everything going on. And then on our left half here, I'm just trying to be as organized as possible and then staging everything where I can just be working on the engine here and making a quick grab as to what I need. Got the right tool to go with that hardware as I work my way around. I'm using Mobile One synthetic on my O-rings for our through bolts. The reason I like that one, it's nice and thick and sticky. I think that'll do a good job for us there, or hopefully it will. And this is going to be for our oil cooler cavity in there. Our O-rings are already lubed up and ready to go. And we're going to be using 30 weight engine oil to lubricate our nuts. And everything else is pretty much dry and clean as far as our washers and locking washers. All right, so having a look at our 574 here. So this is something I've never used before. It's a 50 milliliter bottle with a squeeze type applicator. Let's take a look at the data sheet. So anytime I'm using a new adhesive or any kind of solvent, I like to look and see, you know, what kind of conditions are optimal for working with it. Mainly because I've had so many failures in the past with solvents and paints and adhesives. It's really just a good idea to see what they want and what its range is. So there's a lot of information on here. You can look at this and get what you want out of it. But the two that are interesting for me are this one here and this one here. So it's basically saying that the product cures when confined in the absence of air between close-fitting metal surfaces. So it's an anaerobic sealant, which means that it's only going to cure by starving it of oxygen. So when you make those two halves together, no way air can get in there, and I guess that's what activates it. So for most other sealants and adhesives, it's really air cured or temperature cured. The other thing I was curious about is the temperature range. You know, is there a temperature range that's optimal for working in? And it really doesn't seem to matter here with this one. They gave everything here in Celsius. I converted it to Fahrenheit. So it looks like the bottom of the graph is 41 degree Fahrenheit. It gives different curing times and strength cured after those times, right up to 104. So it looks to be quite a range of working temperatures. I guess really the only thing you would really be concerned of then is once you close your two surfaces, you have a limited amount of time to get it put together before it starts going off. It doesn't say on here, or at least where I could find it, but I have read in other places online it's like 15 minutes once you put the two surfaces together. So anyways, there's our Loctite 574. Let's go get it done. Be careful not to get any down in that oil pressure relief area there. Guys, sorry about that. I didn't press the start button. So anyhow, we're landed. Everything went okay. My chain support didn't work out that great, but Okay, so we're snug down, and before I torque everything, I just want to make sure everything's moving freely in there. Looks like everything's rotating like it should. Can't really turn it around, but we can at least see if there's anything binding. And use your finger on the back side to make sure that those washers aren't spinning on you. And then for our perimeter nuts, I'm going to take them up to 12, and then after that we'll finish them up at 23. Alright, let's have a close-up look and see how we did here. So everything seemed to torque down real nice. The only thing I just would say be mindful of is the through bolts underneath. When you're holding it with your wrench and you're torquing it from the top, you can definitely feel those washers wanting to spin. Put your finger on it, that'll help that out. But if you just took it for granted, you could grind up your O-rings. And then looking down inside here, unfortunately, our chain, little holder upper, didn't work out too good for us, but no problem to pull that through there and get through that in a crisis. So the one really positive takeaway here was this yellow tape and numbering my torque pattern. When you're going around this thing, you're worried about the time, you're wondering, did I do this one, or am I going back over the same one? Do I need to do one? This pretty much eliminates all that. You can just roll through it by numbers and be real confident you got everything in the pattern that you want. Let's pull. Okay guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.